Welcome to Every Child Belongs. I'm Kim Botto, an adoptive mom, grandma, and advocate for kids and teens with disabilities, as well as a longtime leader of kids and student ministries. In this show, we explore how we can create spaces where every child feels heard and valued, whether neurodivergent, differently abled, or they've experienced trauma. Every child belongs. We'll hear from educators, parents, professionals, and more, finding practical ideas that help build a compassionate and supportive world for every child. Let's get started. I am thrilled to have my buddy and pal Lori Crosby on with us today. Lori is a licensed marriage and family therapist. She's also a registered play therapist and registered play therapist supervisor. She has a passion for helping children and adults navigate the path towards healing from trauma. Lori also co-wrote a book, Trauma Informed Children's Ministry. Highly recommend it. She wrote that with her husband, Dr. Robert Crosby. And also, Lori, you and Robert co-founded Reach Hurting Kids Institute. But I also want to say you're also the parents of two adorable, precious, really fun kids. But tell us, what did I leave out? And also tell us about Reach Hurting Kids Institute.
Okay. Well, I am the Chief Inspiration Officer of Reach Hurting Kids Institute, which is exciting. I get to inspire our small team. So, Reach Hurting Kids Institute was created to help train and equip the church to reach all kids. We offer workshops that churches can purchase and then take their team, their volunteers, their pastors through these 75-minute workshops, and that can help them be equipped to better understand, better reach all families who walk through the door. So that's a little bit about Reach Hurting Kids Institute. And Robert and my husband is he's researched children's ministries for many, many years. I think well over a decade at this point. And so from his research and from my therapy background, we teamed up and we wrote the book. Then we were invited to speak at churches to do trainings, but we both have full-time jobs and kids and couldn't go to every church. So then we had the idea of creating these workshops that churches could use and train their teams to be trauma informed. So that's briefly a little bit about the Institute.
Yeah, and we'll put a link in the show notes to it because what this does, and Robert being the researcher, I know he has looked at. So you've created a curriculum that churches can show to their volunteers as a video curriculum, but then he did research on having a live professional presenter, an
Hmm.
expert in the field, as well as the outcomes based on using your video curriculum. And isn't it
Hmm.
like 90% as effective? I mean, it's
Yeah,
pretty much,
I believe that was the statistics. Yeah,
yeah,
so we got a grant to do this research project and had professional speakers like me and him, and then the pastors. And it was like having a pastor lead their own team through this training was 90% as effective as having like professionals.
right,
So it was really, really cool and super interesting and exactly what we're going for because not every church can afford to like hire and fly out a professional trainer. And then what's even cooler is I think just the pastors being able to take their own team through it. They can talk about their own kids. Like I feel like it's a more powerful, more intimate, a deeper experience, just more enriching because of
right,
the relationship.
right. It is a great curriculum, and I've talked to so many churches who have used it, and I've, of course, seen it all,
Yes, you have.
and I have every minute. And also, fun fact, Lori is from Southern California,
Yes.
lives in Southern California now, and she is doing the podcast from my Southern California bedroom.
Yeah.
Aren't you, Lori?
I am. Yes, this is Kim's bedroom when she comes.
I know exactly what is behind that barrier behind you.
A very new bed.
That's right. Super comfy. Okay, Lori. So you have said your passion is about helping people who have experienced trauma. You
Mhm.
did it
Yeah.
through your work, or you're doing it as your work as a therapist, and also
Mhm.
your work through Returning Kids Institute. What
Mhm.
initially pulled you into this line of work?
Well, that would initially, that would be my own trauma I experienced as a child. So, when I was 14 years old, my best friend had an acute asthma attack that sent her into a coma. And then they had to turn off the machines 2.5 days later because her brain was dead. So, that started me on my own mental health journey. It was a very traumatic experience, and I really struggled with major depression, complicated grief, suicidal ideation, and when I was a teenager, like, the church really stepped up, and the Lord used, like, our youth pastor and the volunteers, just to bring healing to my heart, and so I really saw, I mean, I'm putting it together now as an adult, obviously not really as a teenager struggling with these things, but looking back, seeing how powerful the church can be to walk alongside kids and teenagers who've experienced trauma, to be Jesus to these hurting people, to honestly keep people alive. The suicide rate is way too high.
Mhm.
And the Lord created the church to be a place of healing. And so, what an honor to be able to do that. And so, I did my own therapy journey, and the Lord used the church to help as well. Um, and then I just felt called to be a therapist. I felt like, I could just sit with people who are going through the hardest parts of their lives and just be a healing presence, be a witness to their story, be empathetic, and point them back to Jesus. Um, and so that's kinda how I became a therapist, stepping out of my own trauma and into healing, and now feeling like I can walk with others, um, through their pain. And so then with Reach Hurting Kids Institute, my clients, some of the families I was working with, were getting kicked out of the church because of trauma related behaviors that maybe the pastors or the volunteers just weren't recognizing. It was just kids with big feelings and the more traditional three strikes, you're out rule. And having kids come into my office and say, well, we got kicked out of VBS, and having their parents and just seeing the pain and the rejection that they were processing, which I know was not the heart of the pastors or the volunteers, but I just really, really felt that
Right.
we had to do something. And so I heard the Lord say, "Write a book. We need to do something." And so Robert had lots of stories because he was doing the research with children's ministries across the country in South America, and he'd come home and share these stories, and we'd sit on the floor and cry and talk about like, wow, I mean, the church, there's such great potential there, and how can we utilize this and try to help bring like training and help equip the volunteers and the pastors who are overwhelmed trying to do so much as it is. It's like, how can we make this easy? How can we make this accessible? How can we walk alongside and help support them and get them to where they need to be? So that's how we have the book. And then from that, we have the workshops and then all the therapy. And yeah, that's the journey.
Yeah, and Lori, thank you for going personal
Mhm,
as far as sharing why you got into this.
mhm,
And actually, of course, I know the story about your friend.
mhm,
I didn't fully understand what a huge impact the church had on your healing
mhm,
journey.
mhm.
So, and as you talked about, churches sometimes, a kid who's going through a difficult time who has experienced hard things in their life, they don't use their words to tell us what's going on. They use our behavior.
Yeah,
So, as church leaders, as we're sitting in there and we're seeing a kid with behavior that's big or confusing,
yeah,
what might actually be going on underneath? Because it's not a kid who came in and wanted to ruin our day, even though sometimes we think it's that.
right. I mean, as you know, Kim, all behavior is communication.
That's all right. That's all right.
That's the thing, that's the thing. So, trying to come alongside the child who is having big feelings, whatever that may be, and being a calm presence in the midst of that storm. I think first and foremost, there needs to be a volunteer or a pastor or somebody who has a relationship with that child. So the person who actually knows that child who can step in because relationship is the trauma informed strategy, recognizing, okay, little Johnny's having big feeling day. So, how can we meet that underlying need? How can we recognize what happened, what triggered him, what set him off? And how can we help him feel safe, connected, regulated, loved, valued, all of those things? And that can be tough to do, but hopefully, with a person who has a relationship with that child, they can help come alongside and get him regulated.
Each kid in our ministry needs to have that safe person. We're going to be releasing this as summer launches. And for a lot of parents, that's hard. And that's one of the reasons I
Mm.
wanted you on here at this time, because you are a play therapist, and some of us as adults are play challenged. But before we get into preparing for the summer, like, so what is what's a play therapist? You just sit around and build Legos and play Candyland? Like, what is play therapy? Because people talk about it being really effective.
Right, right. Yeah, I get to play Candyland professionally. I get to play Uno professionally. I get to lay on the floor and build Legos professionally. So play is the language of children. Toys are their words. And so a play therapist is a mental health professional who has taken a lot of advanced classes on the power of play. And so then you work towards getting this credential. And so I use the power of play and the language of children. Honestly, it's everybody's first language, right? We
Right.
all spoke play first, um, and come alongside children in the therapy room as they are working towards healing. So children will naturally play out the themes in their life. So whatever they've gone through, whatever they're struggling with, that will show up in play. And it comes out in many different ways. It might not be exactly how an adult would see it. And kids don't sit down and talk like adults do. They sit down and play. So for me, I will sit and I will be an active observer of a child's play. I will make like process comments. Oh, you chose that toy. You're building that. You're making it the way you want. And sometimes I am invited into the play and then I have the child guide, the child lead the play because I don't want to overstep. And so you can have the child continue to lead by kind of being a co-conspirator and doing like, okay, what? So if the kid's like, here, you be the mom. Oh, okay. And then I can whisper and be like, what do you want the mom to do?
Mhm.
So that you
Mhm.
are like still the kid's always guiding the play. So, two big ways you're an active observer or you're joining in the play. And you never want to take a one single play session out of context. You look at the themes of play throughout many, many different sessions. And then you can see, okay, we are working through grief based on what the child's doing. We're working on anger. We're working on impulse control if they're struggling with ADHD. Um, so there's like the nurture play, there's aggression play. Um, so joining with a child, it's the same as when you're doing talk therapy with an adult. It just looks different. And so you're watching them, you're helping guide them. You can add intervention in the play when the time's right. Timing is everything. And if the child is not ready for that intervention, they will absolutely tell you. Um, and then when they're actually allow the intervention to take place, you can actually see changes in the child's behavior
Mm.
after maybe one of those more powerful play sessions where they accepted like the intervention.
Okay, so we're entering into a season where kids are going to have more unstructured time. So they're going to be playing
Mhm.
more.
Yep.
So
Yep.
what do you told us about play therapy, but how will
Mhm.
some of the things that you talked about, how can that apply to us non-play therapists? Like, what do we need to know about play, and how does this affect our summer?
Right. So summer can be challenging for a lot of kids because they go from the strict routine of like school and work, daily life, and then flipping into summer, there is less routine. So if you know your child and they really thrive with routine, which most kids do, I would say set yourself up for success and come up with a good like scheduled routine for your summer. Like on Mondays we do this, on Tuesdays we do this, Wednesdays we do this. You can have a written and a visual just schedule to help the child feel like, okay, there's more of that structure happening. But then also the power, the play is powerful. And so scheduling time for a parent to sit on the floor with their child and do maybe some non-directive unstructured play is a powerful way to build relationship with your child. And what is great, speaking from being a working mom who homeschools and does the nonprofit, very busy. So there's actually a play technique I teach the families I work with called parent-child relationship training. And so this was created by Dr. Gary Landreth and Dr. Sue Bratton, and they're kind of the top play therapy gurus. And so this is actually a research-based technique where a parent can do a 30-minute playtime once a week with their child. And it's a non-directive. You follow the lead of your child. You can do the co-conspirator and play whispering, so the child's always in charge of whatever play you're doing. And what they showed was just a parent doing this for 30 minutes once a week reduced negative acting out behaviors and increased parent-child satisfaction in the relationship.
Wow.
So that's exciting news for very busy families. 30 minutes once a week can make a big difference in your relationship with your child.
Give us an example specifically of what that might look like.
Okay. So let's say Legos. You had said Legos before.
Mhm.
So if your child likes Legos, like you could say tell your child, "You know what? We're going to do like a mommy son special playtime. And mommy's going to sit on the floor and we're going to do 30 minutes of playtime together." And you can give options. I would never say we're going to do this one activity. You know what your kid likes. So giving them options like in their room. I wouldn't necessarily go outside and do this because this play technique, it needs to be more contained so you can hear what your child is saying. You can join in the play when you're invited into the play. And so you're in the bedroom, you're in the playroom, you have toys set out that they like to play with, and you say, "We're going to play for 30 minutes. Put your phone down, no phones, please." Just have your full attention on your child for this whole time. So you're focusing on your child. You are just making observations on what your child is doing. If they grabbed the cars, okay, you chose that blue car and the car is going over here. Or you are building a Lego tower. You're making it as big as you want it to be. So you are literally just describing the actions of the child. And then you can make comments about like feeling. I mean, if the cars are crashing together, oh, wow, they're getting in a big crash over and over, whatever that is. Oh, I'm wondering if that car is angry. So you could bring in emotions if you want, but just plain. And if the child hands you a car, you're going to be the right car. Oh, cool. I'm going to be the right car. And so then you just follow the lead of your child and you're on the ground and you're just like zooming the car, or your child says, build this red tower with Legos. And so you start to do that. It's pretty simple. You just get on the floor and do what your child is saying as far as the playtime is concerned. And then I would say, we have 5 minutes left of our special playtime together. We have 1 minute left of our special playtime together. And then, oh, special playtime's over for today, but I want to do this with you next week. What do you say? You want to do that? You know, most kids are like, yeah. And then you can say, okay, let's go get some snacks. It's snack time, because you want to make sure you transition to maybe another enjoyable activity and not like, all right, we're going to go to bed, because then maybe that
Right.
leads to a meltdown because no child really wants to stop playing with
Right.
their parent. But
Right. Right.
boundaries are good and we do have to do other things, but, reminding yourself that that 30-minute playtime is super powerful. So, yeah.
So you talked about a schedule
Mhm.
for the summer because they've come out of a very structured routine. So we could on our schedule, which I highly recommend schedule. And you talked about it's visual, you can have icons, all that kind of thing. But so we can put our playtime on there.
Mhm.
You're saying schedule it.
Absolutely.
What about for a 16-year-old? What does that look like with a teenager?
Yeah, that can look totally different. So what does your teenager like to do? Um, you can play board games. If your teenager likes to do crafting, like make bracelets, crochet, any sort of crafting thing, any sort of board game, if they like to draw or listen to music or write, like you guys can sit next to each other and go for a drive. So many good conversations and bonding happens in the car. So,
Mhm.
because you're not like
Mhm.
making this intense eye contact, like,
Right.
tell me how you're feeling
Right.
today, because they're like,
That's right.
good, I'm fine, everything, like, it's fine. But if you're just like casually driving around and you're like, let's go get, a milkshake, um, and then just like, hey, how's life been recently? And just asking open-ended or questions can lead to good, deep conversations with your teenager. So I think doing an activity where maybe you're next to each other and you're not like facing each other
Mhm.
can be really helpful. And you can still keep it like a 30-minute activity can still open that ability to bond and have relationship. Just we have to put the cell phones down. We have to be present and just really trying to engage with our child.
So what I hear you say is the most important thing is be fully engaged, no cell phone, and really
Mhm,
let the kid pick. Because I can
mhm.
think now some people be going, oh, wait a minute. If we do this, does it count? It counts if it's something fun for your kid.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I think joining them in their world, doing something they really like, there's such benefit and value in that.
As we continue this conversation, I want to let you know my new book, Boundless Hope, is available now. If you're looking for more resources, strategies, and encouragement to assure every child feels like they belong, this book is for you. Visit Botto or Amazon to order your copy today. In play, I mean, not only does it help build relationship with our kids,
Mhm,
but play can also really help a kid regulate.
mhm, absolutely.
So, talk to us about what would that look like? I've got a kid who is having a meltdown or having a really hard time.
Mhm.
How can play help them regulate?
Oh my goodness. Physical activity can, if you can get your heart rate up, like if they're in the middle of a meltdown, like if you can flip the switch and be like, oh my gosh, how fast can you run up and down the hallway? Like, if you kinda do, like, a silly jolting thing where they can, like, do physical activity, "I'm gonna time you, go." That can quickly shift them from their downstairs brain to their upstairs brain, help them feel more calm. It's just with your heart racing, it flips the switch in your brain. You can't swinging is wonderful, like, going outside to the swings. Jumping on a trampoline is very helpful. It's just really any physical activity, specifically in the midst of a meltdown, is very, very helpful, at helping your body get from the downstairs brain to the upstairs brain.
Okay, let's talk about that because Dr. Dan Siegel is the one who came up with downstairs brain ups. Okay, so explain to us what does that mean moving from our downstairs brain to our
Mhm.
upstairs brain?
So, downstairs brain is like the limbic system, it's your brain stem, it's where like freeze, fight, flight, all of that is stored. Your upstairs brain is the prefrontal cortex. So, it's where you have logic and decision making, communication. Really important things happen in your prefrontal cortex. And so when we are dysregulated, we are downstairs, we're in limbic system, we're in brainstem. And so helping your body feel safe when you're in that place because your body just wants you to be safe and stay alive and it can take, anything that feels threatening, you go to a different part. And so being able to do that, some sort of safe regulation exercise can help you get back upstairs to your prefrontal cortex where you can have communication, where you can have rational thought, good decisions take place. Yeah, so that's briefly what that means.
Yeah, that's great. So it's science. It's not just you saying, "Oh,
Mhm.
this is kind of fun." Research
Yeah,
has proven that this will help a kid
right,
regulate.
right.
When we think of churches and the importance of play.
Mm.
How can
Mhm.
what does that look like to incorporate play
Mm.
in our weekly services?
Oh man, I feel like play is one of the most underutilized um, technique strategies for like a Sunday morning service. Um, it seems like there's this idea that it's kind of a time filler. Like, okay, we're gonna play while everybody gets here, and then we can actually do God's work. So I would say if use that opportunity, have the volunteers and sometimes the adults because we do forget to play. And I'm like, darn it. So have the adults who are standing in the back having a conversation, bring them down, like sit on the floor, join the kids in the drawing table or the Lego table or sitting on the floor playing Candyland. Like sit next to them and just check in about your day. Like, hey, how was this week, Sarah? And then just play with them. It's how you build relationship with a child. So that is a great strategy. And then like during a lesson, like as you're teaching, on a Sunday morning, like bring in play into that activity. There's actually godly play, which is incredible. I don't have that training, but it's a really wonderful way to bring scripture and play together to teach God's word. You could just get creative with like physical activity. If you think you know, this is the right answer for whatever the story is. You can go to this corner or you can go to that corner, or stand up, sit down, spin in a circle, go outside and run across the yard, the grass back and forth before you sit down for small group. There's just lots of underutilized space and techniques that can help teach even the implicit gospel. We talk about that, like being Jesus to the kids, showing up and using their language to teach them about Jesus.
Movement.
Mhm.
Movement is
Movement
important,
is
and
so
that
important.
is so important. And it's so easy to I mean, just the examples you gave, like playing 4 corners or 2
Mhm.
corners,
Mhm.
whichever way you wanna
Right.
do it. You go to a corner based on how you agree with the
Yeah.
statement or don't agree. And in talking about the beginning of the hour, I love that you said, "This is not just kind of blank space until we get started." I think the beginning, the free time, it sets the tone for the whole rest of the
Yes.
time. And it is the one time, since it's unstructured, where you can ask the kid about their
Yeah.
week or their gym shoes they have
Right.
on or what's their favorite activity they do in the room. So as we're talking about churches, I mean, you help co-found Reach Hurting Kids Institute to help churches, particularly with kids who've had trauma, which are often the kids who are displaying big
Mhm.
behaviors.
Yeah.
What are you seeing right now that churches are doing right as far as being a safe place
Mm.
for kids who've experienced trauma?
I feel like there has been such good movement towards awareness and an understanding about big behaviors, about children who've experienced trauma, about like other special needs ministry opportunities. I, there's good things happening there, and I feel like churches are recognizing their potential to really be places of healing for all people. Um, and there's this hunger and a desire to learn and grow. And I think that is really, really exciting. It could be maybe a little overwhelming because there's so much out there. But I feel hopeful that the conversation is happening, that there's lots of opportunities being present for people, for pastors to really learn, grow, lean in, and figure out different ways of doing church than maybe what was done in the past.
Right. So much good information out there. And Reach Hurting Kids has a lot of great info.
Thank you.
So we're talking about the summer, and obviously it impacts our home life because our kids
Hmm.
aren't in school the majority of
Yep.
the day. But summer can also impact our kids coming to church and the way that they show up. So talk about that, Lori. Is there anything that church leaders should expect in the summer as far as the kids and teens?
Um, that is a good question. I would say, again, knowing that there's vacations, there might not be as consistent, um, might be more tired, because they're staying up late because it's
Mhm.
summer and we're going to
That's
parties
right.
and we're
That's
swimming and we're
right.
at the beach and we're hiking and we're coming home from vacations and making it to church Sunday morning. So I would say knowing kids might be more tired than usual because of said activities, might not be showing up as often because of said activities. So recognizing that exhaustion and again, not having the routine will have them primed for more meltdowns. Um, so having that on your radar to offer like maybe more quiet space or safe space, having your routine for Sunday mornings continue to be as predictable as possible so kids know what to expect. Um, yeah, that's what came to my mind.
So when you talk about having a quiet space for them, what would that look like? And I mean, all I have is my classroom. I don't have any other space.
Mhm,
So how can I
mhm.
provide that in within my room? And these ideas are probably transferable to home too.
Right, right, absolutely, they are. So, I mean, depending on your church, I know, Kim, you always say the hallways in a church are the most
Yes. I do say that.
underutilized
I do say
space
that.
in church,
Uh-huh.
and hallways tend to be quiet.
Mhm.
So, if you have an extra volunteer, and you make sure that the child is seen by other people at all times, like we do, safe spaces, having a child step into a hallway and go for a walk with a safe volunteer within the eye shot of other leaders, um, that could be a good place just for a kid to feel a little more regulated. And if they're getting some walking in, that can help them again be regulated as well.
Mhm.
Maybe there's like a cool tent or a fort situation in the corner of the classroom,
Yeah.
like with some bean bags or relaxing cushions, and they can just like take some space in the classroom, but separate, where they can relax and regulate. That's a great idea. Um, yeah.
Great ideas, yeah, and you can do that at home too. I know some of my
Mhm.
grandkids, they just have spaces that they know they can go to that has some of their like, if they're into art, some of their
Yeah.
favorite art activities, things that help them calm and regulate.
Yeah.
Lori, you and I personally, as well as on this podcast, we talk about belonging a lot. I mean, this podcast is called Every Child Belongs. So, as far as, we're told a lot of different ways to help a kid belong, but tell me about a kid who's experienced trauma. What's that actually feel like for them when they come into a place and they feel like they belong?
Hmm. What it feels like for them to belong.
Uh-huh.
Safety, feeling like truly seen, and valued for who they are, being wanted, like for the volunteers and the pastors, like seeing their face like lighting up, like, ah, Johnny, I'm so
Mhm.
happy to see you today. You came.
Mhm.
So that like genuine care for that actual child. Like you want, like as the adult, like you want them there, not like, Johnny's here
They're
again.
here. Yeah.
Yay. I'm gonna get an
Mhm.
extra cup of coffee.
Mhm.
But, like, kids know if they're wanted. Kids know they pick up on all of our emotions way more than we know.
Mhm.
And so having that genuine, like, shifting focus in your own head as, like, a pastor or volunteer and like recognizing that every child has value and every child needs to belong, and like you have this
Mhm.
cool opportunity to be a healing person, a healing presence for a hurting child. Like the Lord is like using you. That's so amazing. So like, wow, asking him to help you develop like that love for that specific child, and then praying that like they can see that in you.
Mhm.
And then I think that that is really truly healing for that child, just being seen, heard, loved, valued, appreciated, desired, especially with the body of Christ.
Absolutely. And I'd like to know what you think. I think it's okay to act our way into feeling. We may have a child that we're
Right.
not particularly excited to see.
Yeah. Yeah.
I believe that it's okay to act like we're excited to see him and pray that God would
Yes.
change our heart, so our heart
Absolutely.
then goes that way too.
Absolutely.
And Dr. Kirk Thompson says, I'm not going to mess this quote up, but this is the gist of it. Every child is born looking for somebody looking for them. And I
Yeah.
love what you said about
That's
they're looking
beautiful.
for
Mhm.
somebody who's
Mhm.
excited to
Right.
see them.
Right.
And
Right.
you're right, especially our kids who've experienced trauma
Mhm.
because of their behaviors so often. I mean, I've talked to
Yeah.
parents where they say the leaders have these looks of exasperation before the kid even gets into the room. It's just when they're down the hall.
Right. Yeah.
Lori, as you're encouraging leaders and parents who have had kids that have experienced trauma, what do you want to say to them? They're having a hard time with a kid.
Right. It's so hard. It is so, 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 so hard. And there will be great days and there will be days where you feel like you let him down, you didn't measure up, you're exhausted. Um, so give yourself grace and patience and ask the Lord to come alongside and to help change your heart so that you can see that child in a way where they feel that safe, loved, connected, valued, all of that. Um, but it's not easy. But also, like that 45 minutes, that 1 hour, however long you have, you get to be with that hurting child, which some
Mhm.
days may feel like 48 hours instead of 48 minutes.
For
'Cause we're all people,
sometimes.
and this is not an
Sometimes.
easy job, right? This is not an easy job.
Mhm.
But it can make all the difference, like, all the difference in the world to that hurting child. Like, you get to be the hands and feet of Christ to somebody, a little person who did not choose what happened to them. It just happened to them, whatever the traumatic
Mhm.
event was. Like,
Mhm.
the Lord can use you as a healing presence
Yeah.
for that hurting child. And that is a huge honor that He doesn't need us. He is choosing to use us to bring healing to His child. Like, are you
Right.
kidding me?
Right. And it's not as difficult as we so often
Mhm,
make it.
mhm,
Just doing the things you talked about
mhm.
before,
Right.
being happy to see them, being interested in the
Mhm,
things that they're
mhm.
interested in, sitting down on the floor with them, or if it's a
Yeah.
teenager, picking up a air hockey
Yeah. Yeah.
puck and playing
Right.
with them.
So
Lori,
fun.
so fun. Yeah, it's fun for us too. Oh,
Yeah.
last question. Then I get to our rapid fire questions. So we're talking about fun. You and I do like to have fun.
Uh-huh.
There are some adults though who that's not really something that fires them up having fun. What would you
Mm.
say to somebody who goes, "I'm not a fun person. I'm not good at playing."
Oh, I would say give it a chance. Like, who told you you're not good at playing? Like, where did that story come from? Let's change that narrative in your head and give it a chance because playing is so fun. Like, there must be an unhelpful story, an unhelpful thought in your head that makes you believe that. So change it.
I love your passion in responding to that, and I'm gonna start doing that because I've had people say, "Well, I'm just not naturally a fun person, or I don't like to play." And I'm gonna say, "Who told you that?
Right.
We're
Where did you first learn that? That's awful.
that is
I don't
that's so good.
agree.
Let's hold hands, run through the park together, and rewrite that story."
Exactly. Preferably a Disneyland park. That's my favorite place to rewrite.
I was thinking, how can I weave in your love for Disney? So for
Right.
those who are listening, Lori loves going to Disneyland. She lives very
Mhm.
close to there. And
Mhm.
also, you just did your first full day solo trip to Disney, didn't you?
I did. I did. Yes.
S-
It was so
So,
fun.
so why was that fun?
Well, it was fun because I got to be with myself. And I am not usually just with myself. Um, I was at my favorite place in the world and I got to walk around. I listened to a couple audiobooks. in my AirPods. I was quiet. I was observant. I just saw other people and like kids and adults like having fun and soaking up joy. I got to have some yummy snacks. And then I had a nice peaceful place where I caught up. I brought my computer too. And so then I got caught up on some assessments and treatment plans that I was a little behind on. So then I felt like
Nice.
I accomplished that. I accomplished it in a really happy place doing paperwork, which is super boring. I was, channeling my inner Bob Goff, uh, because
Yes,
he
because
loves to work Tom Sawyer
at
Island.
Disney. Yep.
One day I'm hoping to run into him there.
Yes.
So yeah, it was so cool.
And so we're talking about doing all these things for kids, but before we do them and show up in a way where we can be playful with kids,
Mhm,
we have to take care of ourselves. And you are
mhm.
very good at that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've witnessed through the years when you have,
Thank you.
uh, like, when I came to visit and we had no hot water, we had no kitchen, and we
No
had
kitchen.
workmen right outside my bedroom door all the time.
Right.
But but even in the midst of that, you guided us in doing fun things in the midst
Yes.
of that, which then
Yes.
changes how we show up. So thank you. And I'm glad you brought up Disney. And now, are you ready for some rapid fire questions?
Sure.
Okay. Lori, you're going to Target. What are you
Uh-huh.
definitely walking out with?
Oh, that is a hard question, Kim. Probably at least some sort of snack item, I would
Hmm.
say. Like, probably, yeah, like probably something for the kids, like their favorite snack.
What's your go-to snack item, Lori?
I'm really into Built Bars lately. Those are really good. Like
Oh,
we've all gotten
yeah.
into Built Bars. So that
Yeah.
is a very yummy snack, high in protein because now that is the most important thing is eating our weight in protein.
That's right. That's the thing right now. Yes,
That's
that's
the
the thing.
thing now.
Okay, what
It's a
about
full-time job.
I don't know if you'll ever answer this because I know you guys have so many family traditions that I just love.
Mm,
Some are little, some are
mm.
huge. But just tell us about one of the family traditions that you enjoy, that you guys do.
Um, okay, well, since Easter is soon, um,
Mhm.
and I realize this will come out after Easter. Anyway, one of those traditions is we have first thing in the morning, we have a Easter egg hunt with clues, scavenger hunt. That's the word I'm looking for. An Easter basket scavenger hunt for the kids. So they wake up and the Easter bunny leaves like two Easter eggs outside of their doors and then filled with a clue and a candy and or money now that they're getting older. And
Right.
then they hunt all over the house, the backyard, the front yard, to try to figure out where their Easter baskets are hidden.
Such a
That's
fun
fun.
way to you're taking the Easter basket tradition, but making it
Uh-huh.
more age appropriate.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
well done.
Yep.
Okay, if you weren't in your current role, what would you be doing, Lori?
I'd be working at Disneyland for sure.
I knew that's what you were gonna say. I was actually
I
I
knew that
actually
one real fast.
I actually wanted to ask that question, and then I wanted to answer it for you. Okay, this is the last one, Lori.
Okay.
Finish this thought. Every child
Matters? That's the first thing that was in my head.
they do. Every child matters, but sometimes our actions would not convey that to them.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, yes, I totally agree with that. Okay, Lori, people are going, "Oh, I like her. How do I get in touch with you? Where can I find your materials and resources?"
On our website, so reachhurtingkids.com, is where you can find all of our contact information and workshop information, our books on Amazon, on Audible, as well as you can buy a physical copy on Amazon. So
Yeah,
that's the best
and
way.
in the book, I'm gonna say it's Trauma Informed Children's Ministry.
Yes,
That's
yes.
the book. It's by Lori and Robert Crosby, and it is practical. It is
Mm,
written with a lot of stories.
mhm.
Just a really great resource for churches. So yeah, go
Thank you,
check
Kim.
out Returning Kids Institute. Lori, hopefully I'll see you soon. If not, I'll
I
just
know I
fly on
miss
out
you.
there. I
Mhm.
know. But thank you for being here
Yay.
with us and thank you for all the work that you do
Yes. Thank you, Kim.
personally individual career. And
Mhm.
also, I know that Reach Hurting Kids is a labor of love.
Mm.
You are doing this because you care about kids in the church. And you want the church to be a safe place. So on
Yeah.
behalf of all the children that are now going to church that couldn't go to church before because you've helped people create
Mm.
these safe spaces, I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Kim, and back at you. I'm honored to do this with you, and I adore you to the moon and back. Like, you are an inspiration, and I just love you.
Right back at you, sister. Thank you so much for joining me today on Every Child Belongs. If you found today's episode helpful, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. And don't forget to share this with a friend who might need to hear it. Together, we can create a world where every child belongs.